subject to credit approval. Rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 12/31/16. Competitors ad required for the tire guarantee.
This is Charles Osgood. Whether traveling or working remotely, we know your PC is your business headquarters. And when work takes you on the go, you need a laptop that can keep up. Dell's XPS 13 empowers small business owners to collaborate anywhere with incredible battery life and powerful performance. Reduce downtime by 50% and boost productivity with 4 times faster performance when you refresh to new Dell PCs featuring Intel Core processors. Visit Dell.com/radio.
Hey guys, watch my new bike trick. Whoa!
Accidents happen. When they do, LaPorte Hospital can help you get on the road to recovery faster. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, we will work to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. Less waiting, faster care. The 30 minutes or less ER service pledge at LaPorte Hospital.
You want the scoop on all the local and national news, weather, traffic, and sports? Well, join me and Gordon Deal weekdays from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. on AM 1420 WIMS and WIMSradio.com.
Festive music will fill the air as close to 1,000 vocalists and instrumentalists kick off the holiday season at the Michigan City Area Schools One City, One Sound concert on Thursday, December 1st. The event will be held at 7 p.m. in the Michigan City High School Gymnasium. Admission is free. However, all who attend are encouraged to bring a canned good or non-perishable food item for the Salvation Army. The concert will be broadcast live on AM 1420 WIMS and also streaming live on WIMSradio.com or via the free TuneIn app for all your mobile devices. This year's live broadcast of One City, One Sound is brought to you by Arby's of Michigan City.
We're on. We're on, kiddo.
We're on. Let's do this.
Are you ready to rock and roll? We are AM 1420 WIMS, Talk of the South Shore. I said it's Friday morning, and it's another great installment of Younger Life Live, not only on the radio, we stream this bad boy around the world on WIMSradio.com. But Rick Federici and Mary Anthony are here today on a Friday, and do you believe this awesome temperature outside or what?
I can't believe it. It seems so strange to me that it is November. And I mean, inching up on the end of November. So that's just crazy. But we're lucky. We'll take it while we can get it.
I feel energy. I feel positive. I feel the light of love. Jackie Beisel, our executive producer today. Sanders is on a TV shoot in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So he is hanging loose for the weekend, getting ready for his Thanksgiving with his family, as a lot of us are.
That's right.
Going to be a heavily traveled weekend. A lot of people, millions of people taking off.
Yeah.
This weekend, a lot of people have off next week. Do you?
Yeah, that's nice.
Are you here next week?
No. Oh, we're here.
But
we're only here for a short week. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even a short week, we're only here Monday and Tuesday. So for all of our friends out there, yes, when you hear the end of next week, it won't really be us.
It will be an imposter.
It will be a rewind on a few of our favorites. So just so they know. But
well, today we have a wonderful guy who's a community pillar.
Yep.
Who's been around for a number of years now, spreading positive love and energy. Chris
That's
Ballman.
it. I think he's right up our alley. I
He
love
is.
that. And, I pulled in. He drives a cool little car. I just love it. I'm like, look
It's a
how
stealth
cool that
car.
is.
I try not to get noticed.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, Chris, would you mind please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Happily. First off, thanks for having me here. Appreciate this a lot. I'm not a radio guy, so I'll do the best I can. Chris Mallman, LaPorte County Life, originally started the company out in Valpo with Valpo Life, launched others in Portage, LaPorte County, and Northwest Indiana over in Lake County. Wow. And we're an online, more similar probably to a newspaper, but an online news source, but just happens to be all positive, only good news.
We love that.
See, I'm all about the positive flow of life, because you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, in a scenario of the world as we all know it. Mm-hmm. And we're all professionals, but that positive flow does come along, and it does add a little oomph to your life. You know what I mean?
It does. You can choose to be negative, but then everything you see is negative. Rick and I have done numerous studies. We've discussed numerous studies where, energy, honestly, positive energy attracts positive energy. Negative energy, it's contagious. It is contagious. And we see it on the TV every day. You see it and hear it in the news, whether it is positive things or negative things. One little negative thing, you'll hear that all day long, which is depressing and hard to hear. I find myself a lot of times just turning the news off because I want to know what goes on. And I'm realistic. I also need to know the bad things that go on, but I don't need that in my face all the time. I choose to look for the positive things in it, even when it isn't a positive situation. So I think that's why you are right up our alley. I think that's good.
Well, I view you as the good news radio guy.
Thank you.
When we're out at an event, you can see just the energy exude out of you, and to me, that's why people listen. That's why ultimately they come to you. Is I think you're gonna moan, complain, argue, whatever you're going to do. And there's probably plenty of that on talk radio. But there's also a way that you can actually just emphasize what's good and what's right and what's nice. And sort of to your point, it's not all Pollyannish where everything in the world is perfect and it's sunshine and butterflies. I'm one of the most cynical, negative people privately in the world that you would ever know. But I just choose to make a living broadcasting positive stuff, because if you fill up your day with good stuff, you're generally going to feel a little bit better. You're generally going to be a little bit more energetic. You're going to have a little bit more optimism. People are probably a little bit more likely to be around you, to want to be around you. And if you're moaning about something 24/7, and then you're getting on TV and you're watching people argue about stuff 24/7, and you put on the you turn on the TV news, particularly during election season, and you see 7 talking heads all yelling at each other about how terrible everything is. And you wonder, why are people depressed? It's no surprise.
Absolutely. Even the ads. Rick and I discussed on numerous times how, you're going to run into negative campaigning. It's the truth.
The way
it's
of the business.
Way it is.
And today. It's today.
But it is. But, it's just... it's shocking sometimes. One ad in particular called someone an idiot. And he was 4 at the time. He just turned 5 last weekend. But he said, on the radio, he just stopped. He said, he called him an idiot. Now, my kids know that that's not a cuss word, but it's mean. So it's like a bad word. You don't say. He's like, did you hear that? Like, he was excited to be able to say it because I privately think he was excited that he was able to say it without getting in trouble. But he called him an idiot, And I said, I know that's terrible. And it's not nice. And so it's hard to set that positive example when it is all around us. And
the challenge is those are potentially our leaders.
I know.
And you got one guy saying, this person's evil. They bury children daily in the backyard.
Yes.
They run over nurses and nuns.
That's it.
And then the other guy, well, actually, he cooks nurses and nuns for a living, and he makes breakfast. It's just, it's all ridiculous stuff.
It is. It's crazy. I love that you point out it's okay to have, I don't want to say negative thoughts, but it's okay to be realistic and not always be cheery and raring to go. But it's the energy you put out that's important. And it's okay to feel those things and realize those things. We all get like that. We all have a bad day. We talked to an author about a happiness equation. It was a book he had written. And we loved that because it is realistic. And he wrote the book, his first book actually, at a very dark time in his life when things were difficult for him, but he made the decision to focus on something positive every day. And that's what he did. It started as a blog and turned into a book. And it was just such a moving concept, I think, because we can all do that. We all have to make a million choices a day, but choose to see things as positive as you can. And it does make a difference in other people's lives that are surrounding you, I think, and then in turn your own, even when you might not feel that. So.
Recently, we had the pleasure, Chris's crew was out at the United Way of LaPorte County for a big event that we had, the Chris Pate and Dave Sisk, several times in the studio, but chatting about all the great things they do. Here's another great spin because representation from all over the counties, plural.
Yeah, yes.
With your team, which was absolutely phenomenal. And then you tagged me with this whole little cool puzzle of pictures, which I loved. And I thought, wow, it was great because everything in there was real nice. And it's crazy because you fly through the night. You know how we both are.
Yep.
When we're doing these gigs, you're hugging people, you're on the air, you're taking pictures, you're, interviewing people, and it just flies. The night goes by. Well, then you take 2 minutes and you get to see that little montage picture. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I actually did take that picture.
Yeah.
I was in that picture.
My favorite pic from that night, though, is you and Dave on stage. It was
Thank
almost
you.
like a love story.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
it was really good.
Cute.
And you just play off each other so incredibly well. And he's got energy and you got energy and the crowd feels it and they see it. And you've done it a number of years in a row. And it's just, it's there. It's good.
They're fantastic. That. I love, we've had them on numerous times. Chris joined us once, but Dave's been on a handful of times too. And I think, what they do is so moving and so important to talk about because it's the same thing. Rick and I are always interested in talking to people that are making a difference for the betterment of our own communities. It's so important. There's been so many little companies. We've met the people, and I think I've never even heard of that. But what an amazing thing you do. Whether it's a shelter, we've had numerous on, and United Way is involved in everything that goes on, and they're always behind the scenes. People don't realize what they really do. So the events like this one, especially this one being such a big event, it's so nice and encouraging to hear about the amazing turnout that they have, and it's so important. It's what keeps our community going,
I agree.
And it tends to breed itself. So if you're a positive person, people generally share positive stuff with you. If you're a negative person, people generally share negative stuff with you. So I think what you put out is actually what you invite back.
It's contagious.
We're a news source. Very, very few people, almost never, send us anything negative. Because you sort of exude this positive thing, and people are like, well, if this is negative, they're probably not interested. So they don't even send it to us.
That's nice.
That's a good thing.
I like that.
It is nice.
I really like that. And we'll get some sometimes. And occasionally we'll get some people that will critique it and say, you're so positive, I hate that. Okay.
But
I don't think you could hate it. I could think you could be disinterested, you could be bored, you could think that's whatever, it's a little too PG for you. But I don't really think you could actually hate it.
Right. Absolutely.
When you think of different stories, Chris, that you've done through the years, and the different counties and areas that your team covers all over the area, there's got to be some neat, because you do spotlight stories, you do all types of different neat pieces. Is there anything that sticks out in your head that kind of, oh, I love that one, or I love, and you do have a lot of great stuff, but one that just totally sticks with you? I'm just curious.
Right here in LaPorte County is our most widely read story that we've ever had. And it's about the gentleman that is the greeter at Walmart, at the LaPorte Walmart.
Jim.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny.
Jim's got his own Facebook page.
Does he?
Yeah. But Jim, as you guys have probably known, he just exudes positive. And he's had some challenges in his life and battled back from them. But that has been seen by people in 25 different countries.
Wow.
And liked 80,000 times.
That's
awesome.
And so you think about it as this is a greeter at a Walmart, at an individual Walmart in a relatively small town of LaPorte.
Right.
And it's blown up all over the place. And you have people that have commented that it said, I went to LaPorte 4 years ago to visit my aunt and I saw him. And they don't know anything about the community
That's so
whatsoever,
neat.
but they definitely know Jim.
It's funny.
And those are the ones where the emotional reaction. It's not just the like, but it's the comment, and it's he actually touched them, he impacted them. And a lot of the stories are just people that, sort of like you said, you wouldn't know whatsoever. I had no idea that company was there. I didn't know that mission, let's say it was a nonprofit that was there. I didn't know that person was there. And then you think about what they've done. And, you know, each of us in our own worlds, you get to thinking, oh, okay, well, I've done a lot. I've done this and this and this, and I've done this and this and this. And then you learn from some of these people, and you're like, dang, I gotta get to work.
Well, that's
like,
that's how
these people are.
That's how I
rocking it.
feel. We've done a lot of had a lot of non-for-profits on that. I think the amount of lives that they touch is just incredible. I think I definitely have. I need to step it up. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that challenge. When we feel like, ooh, we can do better. Because, you know, I love that. I love that. That is a great challenge. We are always trying to do different challenges, typically health ones, and Rick beats me most of the time, but
well,
that's okay.
You want to know what? I don't, Chris, I want to be, for the record here, for the Younger Life Live TV crew and for the radio family, I don't challenge you to beat you. We have a friendly competition.
We love it.
But when she could beat Ricky, she's going to stop me.
So, you know, yeah.
I've got somebody in my office, Jenny Craig, that would actually like to trounce me at just about anything we compete against.
I love that.
And that's what makes her great.
That's it. I'm a little competitive, but all in fun. I love a competition. So if someone can make me feel like, oh, it's time to step it up, without making us feel bad. We had a vegan chef on who was fabulous. But no matter what we told her, we tried to do healthy-wise, it was bad for us. I said, I left that day feeling like I feed my family garbage, and I don't even mean to. We got a good laugh out of it. But you know what? You learn and you try to do things better. So as far as meeting these people that change so many lives, we are inspired by that on a regular basis, and I love that. I do want to know, though, about your business. So okay. I'm curious as to how you got started. I know you said you started in Valpo, but how did you even come up with the concept? And was it automatically a news thing, or were you automatically thinking a positive news only thing? Because I think that's important, too.
It was probably, the whole business plan probably could fit on the back of a business card. So it wasn't really well thought out. I grew up in the financial markets my whole life. So I lived in Chicago or the suburbs, but I always worked somehow associated with the trading floor. So I was either working on the board floor, the merc floor, or some business related to the markets. Spent most of my life in the information gathering and distribution side of the business, but essentially bringing in lots of market information, amalgamating it together and distributing it back out. But my world was more Dow Jones news and Reuters news and Bloomberg news. So I didn't pay, even living in the suburbs, I didn't pay a heck of a lot of attention to local news. I was mostly interested in market news. So married a Valpo girl about 23 years ago, and then moved out here about 9 years ago, and got involved with a couple of nonprofit groups in Valpo. One was the Porter County Career and Tech Center, a vocational school that serves all of Porter County, and then the other one was the Valpo Schools Foundation that gives out some scholarships for students, Valpo high school students, and some teacher grants. Long story short, got involved in both organizations, and one of the challenges they had, they said, okay, well, you're sort of a marketing communications guy. How can we get the word out better? And I said, well, like, you're doing incredibly awesome things. How hard should this be? Like, people should eat this news up. And they're like, well, actually, that's not really the case. And I said, well, why? It doesn't make sense to me. And they said, well, number one, we don't have a lot of dollars for marketing, so we can't really pay to advertise because we're trying to put all our dollars into our programs. And number two, just our stuff doesn't get picked up much. We send it to the paper, they sort of ignore it. Good news doesn't get a lot of attention. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I can get a crude oil quote once around the world in under a second. We could probably beat sending a press release into the newspaper and having them pick it up or not pick it up, which is probably the biggest challenge, a week later. So on the technology side, you could probably, all those people that have something positive to share, you could give them something really easy to make it really easy for them to share. So easy and so inexpensively that you wouldn't have to charge them anything. So theoretically, if you give all those people that are just doing nice stuff a way to contribute their information, you don't have to charge them. And then secondly, the notion that good news isn't really very popular just, you know, it just sounded stupid. I was very naive, obviously. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought, but I was very naive. So I went to Radio 1, and I went to Lakeshore, and I went to the Times, and I said, you know, I'm new here, but obviously I have this brilliant idea, and you're going to fall in love with it right away. And let's just say the reaction wasn't falling in love with it right away. They pointed out, that I was a little naive. That's not really how the news business works, so to speak. If it bleeds, it leads mentality is really what sells papers. That's what drives viewers. And a number of other things that essentially said, that's not going to work. And my suggestion to them wasn't that I was even going to do it. My suggestion to them was, why don't you have a little segment on the radio? Why don't you have a little TV show? Or why don't you have a page in the paper or a section of paper once a week or something? It's just positive news. And the last of the three that I met with was the one that really cemented it for me, because he said, number one, you know, that's Pollyannish. That's not the way the news business works. Number two, you really have no idea. You can't make money at local. It's just too hard to do. But number three, and this was what convinced me to start the company, is, by the way, you seem sort of like a smart guy. When that fails, I would love to hire you. So ring, ring, ring. I called my wife on the way home, and I said, you know, we're going to start an all online good news company in Valpo. And she said, since when? And I said, well, I've been driving about 6 minutes.
I love you. I was thinking about it before I called you.
Yeah, I'm on the highway from,
awesome.
you know, heading out of Munster or whatever. And you know, it's been about 6 minutes. And she said, well, so what's the plan? And I said, well, I just told you the plan. Like, we're going to start a good news company.
Yeah.
So it was very, back to your question, it was very probably spur of the moment, spontaneous, partially based on this really ought to exist. There ought to be a place where you could go to just find a bunch of positive stuff. Partially based a little bit on a competitive spirit of how dare they think this isn't a good idea. I'm going to prove to them it's a great idea. And we just started above my garage with a handful of people and said, we're going to build it in Valpo. And if Valpo works, we'll build another one. And if that works, we'll build another one, and so on and so on.
And clearly it's working.
It's working. And it's, you know, it's not one of those things where you light it and it's just automatically successful and what a wonderful idea. You know, as you probably know, Rick, sometimes you start something and it works, and then it doesn't work, and then it works, and then it doesn't work, and then it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, but then it works. And
you just keep trying.
Keep going.
And you know, you're going to stumble so often. I was talking to somebody just a couple days ago that was thinking of starting their own business. And I encouraged them like crazy to do it, but I said, just realize you're never going to make it. And they said, well, you mean the business isn't going to succeed? And I said, no, there's no way in a competitive business environment like it is now, you'll ever hit that point where you just made it. And everything's okay.
You're right.
You're literally got to fight every year to be relevant, successful, grow, change. Look at all the stuff that you're doing here with these cameras and all these other kind of things. You know, you could just sit in a radio model and say, we're going to be radio people. That's it. And we're not going to do anything differently. How much stuff are you doing on social that, you know, 5 years ago you didn't do? But you do, because that's how you got to compete and play out. So I look at it as, you start with a basic premise, and is that premise going to work or not? But then ultimately, you need to refine it all the time.
It's funny Chris brings that up, because when we first started, the brothers and I, and we had another station in Lake County, and then we separated from those partners and then outright bought IMS, and then a couple of years ago got WHFB. The thought and the theory was people thought we were crazy because I had serviced all these radio stations from Chicago doing traffic and news and sports from down there with big services. And people I'm like, we're going to go local. We're going to do this, this, and this. And people are like, you're crazy. Well, yeah, we had to start from the ground. But all these years later, a decade plus, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what we've done. Everything's a challenge. The other radio station, ever evolving, same kind of theory. But I like what I do. It's like, you like what you do.
And you control your destiny.
You so
and
do.
that, to me, that's what it's all about. I want to get up every day. And if we won, okay, the group of us made collectively at least 51% more positive decisions that we did negative ones. And on the days you get your clock cleaned, well, it's my gig. So I got nobody else to look at.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up, Chris, because I always say that to the crew here. I will stick up for you 100%. But at the end of the day, I take the blame, because it stops with me as it stops with you. You know what I'm saying?
You have to.
You really do.
And you're just trying to provide an environment where they're happy, they're healthy, they're productive. But I think it also gives people, particularly in a smaller, more entrepreneurial environment like yours or ours, it gives people an understanding of, no, like there's a lot to running a business. When we interview people, one of the questions I ask people all the time is, do you know how to shovel? And it'll be a web developer or a graphics person or somebody else, or journalist or something, and they look at me like I got three heads of, well, why would I need to shovel? And I said, well, because if the guy that we have a service for doesn't come and shovel, like the next person in shovels.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's man, woman, old, young, developer, photographer, whatever, you shovel.
Everybody helps.
And people are like, oh, well, I wouldn't really see myself doing that. And I
then
say,
you're like,
well,
what
I
goes
really
through
wouldn't
my
see
head?
you working here.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's true.
We're all in agreement.
Well, it's true. I mean, it has to be a cooperative thing, especially in a small business setting. I imagine even more so, where you're constantly, everybody has 10 roles, and that's okay. And you got to be comfortable enough with that and be all about it. So I think that's just brilliant. I really do. I think it's a great idea. I love that it actually started with wanting to focus on the positive too, from the very first thoughts you had.
I just looked at it as there's so much negative stuff out there. And if there's a car crash out here on 20, there's 5 people that are racing to tell the story of the car crash.
Yes.
And so why be the 6th? Like from a competitive standpoint, why be the 6th when you could just be the oddball that focuses on the good stuff?
I always wonder why. Why do you think that is? Either one of you. Why do you think it is that we're kind of wired that way? I'm always curious. My own thoughts are: is it because somewhere everybody has a sympathetic or empathetic part to them, and so that's why the bad, sad, or gory is the first to be noticed? I'm curious.
I think sometimes
what do you
it's
think?
people want to see someone in a worse situation than they are, and they feel a little bit better about themselves.
Yeah. Oh, and that's sad.
It's
but
just
true.
like, my life's a little mixed up, but oh my God, it's not that.
Yeah,
guy's life.
that's very true. And we all have hurdles. And I think that people, we all have a cross. I think people like to know, you're right, when someone might have a bigger or heavier cross than theirs.
Well, and you look at the way people too have been, even the generations, whether you're 20-something, a millennial, or you're the wisest of years, it's kind of sometimes the way that a lot of folks were brought up.
Yeah.
And their mentality of how they perceive in life is perceived.
Yeah.
And they don't always necessarily see that positive thought. I mean, I try to keep the negative Nellies and the Debbie Downers away from me as much as I can. I try to stay positive.
Well, I mean,
all the
realistically, I feel like we all have those days or those moments, not
Sure.
even a whole day, where we're that person. I have been
Sure,
that
all
person.
of us.
But I think I think, and what I'm trying hard to teach with my own kids too, is it's okay to be that person for a few minutes, but then realize that that's what you're doing and say, okay, we're going to stop that here. And either pull something positive from that, or say we'll worry about that and later and focus on something more positive, because there's always going to be bad news.
Yeah.
There's always going to be bad, sad, ugly things to deal with in life. But I mean, they don't have to take over everything,
Agree.
Well, I think in a general mainstream media standpoint, you don't have to ignite bad news. There's bad stuff that happens, but you could actually just say, this happened, that happened, and this happened, and it's really unfortunate. We'll update you if we learn more. You don't necessarily have to start to say, this guy that everybody hates did this, and then this lady that everybody hates did this, and you're just fermenting that. And I don't think, to me, I don't really think that's media's job, but it sells. So
it does.
I don't have anything
It's
against
made a lot of people rich.
anybody that does it. I just say, that's not my gig.
Rick and I have talked a few times about that in particular, just how difficult it is to get away from that, and with the social media stuff, developing continuously, which is amazing and does amazing things, but it can also make things more difficult to not acknowledge when it's right in your face, or not to have something rile you up when you see it.
Yep.
In every aspect of your day, in every little detail, then it's hard to not find yourself maybe feeling more angry or a little more bristly about it,
Well, and the challenge on social is it invites people to share things that they normally would only share privately.
Right.
And I look at, you just watch what everybody shares, and you think often, like, would you just walk into a breakfast cafe and say that? Would you walk into a chamber lunch and just say that? maybe you ought to not be saying that on
Right.
Facebook. And again, it's free to whoever's going to post whatever they're going to post. But particularly from a business owner standpoint, it's been surprising to me to watch a lot of that stuff play out. Because as a business owner, you're thinking half the people roughly that are, come into your coffee shop or come into your restaurant or come into your insurance company or whatever it is, half the people that you're talking to really don't like what you just said. And do you want to tell half the people that are your potential prospects or customers, I'm saying something that you really don't like.
Yeah.
I just stay the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It's funny, speaking about staying the heck out of it, and this blew me away just as a 50-year-old dude. This election, and we're not going to talk elections or religion here, but I just for the sake of discussion, I was blown away, Chris, by the amount of people, whether 20-something or let's just even go the wisest of years, and their straight-in-your-face attitude about who you voted for and that whole thing. But people were just going berserko on social media, and we were saying this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people are literally going for throats on this one.
Yeah.
And you just step back, if it's not cool to push forward, then don't. That's the way I look at it. But there have been some crazy stuff, Facebook and Twitter that.
Well, I think that you're both so right in the fact that so much of it is fueled by because people feel safe when they're doing it from their, posting whatever they're posting.
Behind the screen.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And, it's just a respect thing. And I think it's difficult, especially with all of the younger people that have grown up using social media, where that's not obviously a much newer thing. But, all the teenagers now and stuff, that's all they know. I think it's so important that we teach them that is a responsibility to still be respectful of other people. It is freedom of speech. I understand that. But you have to know, too, just like you said, Chris, you're not going to walk into a room of strangers and announce your feelings about it or pick on someone else because of their feelings about it in a room. You might do that, you might do that online, but it's irresponsible and it's disrespectful to everyone else that doesn't agree with your opinion.
And even just from a practical business standpoint, it's just not smart. I mean, it's not intelligent for business because you want all those people to come to you and get an insurance quote or whatever the heck it is.
Yes.
And you're essentially saying half the market, I'm going to tell you exactly why you don't want to call me for insurance.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have a place.
Right. But positive always has a place. That's what's nice. Positive always has a place.
And you see the same feeding frenzy happen, but it just happens in a really positive manner. You'll share a story and someone will make a comment and they'll tag somebody involved with the story or they'll tag somebody that they want to see the story. And then that person will share it on and that person will share it on. So you see sort of the viral or incendiary aspect of news, but you just see it exploding in a good way versus in a bad way.
I think that's encouraging to know that at our root, aside from maybe being drawn to that bad, sad, whatever side, we really do. We are drawn to positive and we are drawn to watching somebody persevere, overcome something, an obstacle. I think we are all have that little bit of cheerleader in us wanting the good thing too. So I love that you're sharing it.
Well,
I think it's
probably
important.
a central theme in all of us is your storytellers. You want to help somebody get their story out. You want to help them sort of illuminate what it is that's inside of them or what their mission is. And, what's always endearing to me is when I'll meet someone that we did a piece on and or I'll meet somebody related to somebody that we did a piece on, and they'll say, I didn't even know that about Sarah. Like, I've known Sarah my whole life. I didn't know that, or I didn't know that about Doug, and then his mom, and what a wonderful... And so these are people that are working together every single day, and they didn't know because somebody didn't necessarily ask them to tell their story. So I look at it as... we've done zillions of these and we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
I mean, the tiniest little scratch on the surface, and you could go deep a mile long and there's more stories to tell.
Let's take a quick time out. We'll be back here in a minute or so on Younger Life Live. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. This is Michael Horn from the What's Cooking Show. Be sure to listen to our show every Sunday from 11 a.m. to noon right here on AM 1420 WIMS, the talk of the South Shore. Join me, Michael Horn, and Paul Stern as we talk about food, wine, travel, restaurants, and entertainment. It's all on the What's Cooking Show, and it all comes your way every Sunday from 11 a.m. to noon. Join us, won't you? What's Cooking? Right here on AM 1420 WIMS, the talk of the South Shore.
Festive music will fill the air as close to 1,000 vocalists and instrumentalists kick off the holiday season at the Michigan City Area Schools One City One Sound concert on Thursday, December 1st. The event will be held at 7 p.m. in the Michigan City High School Gymnasium. Admission is free. However, all who attend are encouraged to bring a canned good or non-perishable food item for the Salvation Army. The concert will be broadcast live on AM 1420 WIMS and also streaming live on WIMSradio.com or via the free TuneIn app for all your mobile devices. This year's live broadcast of One City One Sound is brought to you by Arby's of Michigan City.
During a medical emergency, every minute matters. That's why at LaPorte Hospital, you'll find less waiting where you need it most, in our emergency room. In fact, we will work to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. And because we're a full-service hospital, we can provide more care if you need it. Less waiting, faster care. The 30 minutes or less ER service pledge at LaPorte Hospital.
Hey guys, watch my new bike trick. Whoa!
Accidents happen. When they do, LaPorte Hospital can help you get on the road to recovery faster. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, we will work to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. Less waiting, faster care. The 30 minutes or less ER service pledge at LaPorte Hospital.
I like that. I like positive. We were just chatting here on Younger Life, Rick Federici, Mary Anthony, Chris Malman. We were chatting about how beautiful the weather's been.
Yeah.
And you, like Chris, you were just saying, I don't want to go to sleep.
Yeah. You don't want it to end because we're going to wake up someday and it's going to be 20 degrees and gray and cloudy or whatever. So you want to soak it up as much as you possibly can.
So are you,
I saw some people posting pics that went swimming yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
And you're thinking, okay, that's pretty daring.
That is crazy.
I'm telling you right now, from a guy's standpoint, that water's got to be about
oh my goodness,
55 to 60. I'm thinking.
I can't imagine how cold. Honestly,
have a high
no.
voice.
I can't imagine how cold. That's a little nuts. But you know what? Whatever makes you happy, I guess. That's good. And
maybe Chris is trying to tell us the spin on life here is if we just think that it's not going to snow, it won't snow.
You know, though, but for some of us weirdos that like snow, at least for a portion of time, I enjoy winter for a while.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
December 1st through the 31st, I could deal with it. Really, that's my favorite, Christmas in December. But pretty much by January, I'm ready to move on to spring, which is silly because that is the heart of winter. But still, I'm excited. My kids were thrilled to hear on the radio that there's a chance of flurries. I keep explaining at 40 degrees even tomorrow, it's going to melt. But, and so we're not going to really have snow, but just the thought of seeing it, my kids are already thrilled because we're getting to the holidays and, we love that. We love the snow.
Try to do what Uncle Ricky does for his godson who lives in Arizona, where he'll say, Uncle, can you do me a favor and send me some snow in a can? And so I'll take like a scoop of snowball and I really do it. You seal it and then he gets these like, but it's water.
Yeah.
But honey, it melts.
And it's dirty water. It's dirty water.
My sister, you're crazy. It's like, I know.
Oh, I know. I mean, I do enjoy winter for a while, but I do feel like we need to keep, soaking these days in and, packing them away because we're going to need them at some point, especially when you hit that patch of winter where it is just dreary and harder to
I can take the cold, I can take the snow, I just don't like the gray.
The gray, exactly.
I can deal with that drear for a little bit, but boy, after you've gotten a week or two of just nothing but that's tough.
I'm a sun addict. I can go out in the middle of winter and I'll just sit in a winter coat, hat, everything else on. I just want the sun on my face.
Yeah,
I want to soak
feel
it up.
that.
Because doesn't it make you feel better?
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely. To me, it's a drug. I mean, you go outside, even if you take a lunch break and you walk around the block or you're sitting outside getting a car wash. If I go to the place where I get a car wash, I'll always sit outside, even during the middle of winter while your car's getting finished up, just because it's 5-6 minutes, your sun's on your face, you feel better.
Well, and our doctors that have joined us and nurse practitioners and all of our wellness people would say, that's very, very good for you. Do that. Get up, even if it's for 2 minutes, walk outside, enjoy some of that fresh air and some of the sun. We've done a couple shows too on like seasonal depression.
That's big,
which is a very real thing for a lot of people that deal with that. And those little stolen moments in the sun is like the key. It is vital.
I mean, it's a little 5-minute vacation.
Yeah, to get you through it. It really is. It definitely
Can we add
is.
about another 60 hours to that, Chris? I need
That's
one
awesome.
of
And
those.
60 degrees.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes,
Give me a
absolutely.
little California-esque.
Well, we wanted to talk a little bit more about your good news, all of your good news. I don't want to just say LaPorte County because it's all over. So can you give us a website that someone
Sure.
can go to look up really any of your counties that you're highlighting all of this fantastic news?
The 4 sites are essentially LaPorte County Life that covers all of LaPorte County. Then there's Portage Life for Portage, Valpo Life for Valpo. We actually cover a lot of Duneland stuff in Valpo.
Oh, okay.
And then Northwest Indiana Life is generally Lake County. It's got some spillover content from all around the area, but it covers mostly Lake County. So between the 4 of them, Lake, Porter, and LaPorte County. And then next for us up is later on next year, probably around the middle of next year, we'll launch out in South Bend.
Really?
So
Ooh.
that's
that.
sort of our growth curve.
Breaking news
but-
here, right?
Yeah, breaking news
Dun,
here.
dun, dun,
Breaks
dun,
on
dun, dun.
WIMS. But for us, it all starts really at the website itself. We're real active on social media, so you can find a Facebook page and a Twitter feed for each of those networks. Best way for people to reach us is if you think of the word share, just share at LaPorte County Life or any of those site names. Somebody could send in any information they have.
Really?
If it's a nonprofit or a school or a community organization or a basketball team or whatever it is, you have an event coming up, you've got a shout out that you want to give to the team for how they competed, you've got a fundraiser that's happening, they can either post it themselves right to the website or they can just email us and we'll put it up right away. So the event calendar tends to be probably one of the more popular areas of the site. Photos are for sure the most popular area of the site. We take a zillion of them. So they tend to be one of the most popular areas of the site. But then everything else is broken down, really sports, health, entertainment, business, community. And, you know, I think you asked earlier when we were off break, you know, how do we decide what to go to?
Yeah, how do you pick the events you're going
That's
to?
honestly the biggest challenge is just because you have a limited number of people and you can only send them out to a certain
Yeah.
number of things. And it comes to Friday night and you got 3 football games and you got 4 community events and 2 partner events, and you're just thinking, okay, we need 8 people. I got 6. So you pull some of your regulars in and you figure it all out. But we look at it as if we can go out and cover the event and have somebody there doing an article and taking pictures, that's our ideal. If not, we're happy to. People will, particularly with the advent of how good cell phones are,
Right.
or a lot of people are out there taking their own pictures at an event. We ask them, hey, send us 2 or 3 bullet points about the event the next day and a couple of pictures, and we'll happily put that up into an article if we couldn't be there. So a lot of it is, if you think about community contributed journalism, there's so much that people are doing that no matter how many people you had, it's impossible to have somebody at all of those.
Right.
And I think, again, in a traditional sense, let's say particularly on the print side, most media have looked at it and said, well, if we didn't cover it, like, it's not going to be published. And I look at it and said, well, that's like 80% of the world is not going to get promoted or not going to get visibility if we only do the things that we could potentially cover. And no matter how many people you hire, you can't get to everything. So why not give people a really easy means to say, hey, here's some bits about our information. And a lot of people think, again, very traditionally of, well, I have to have a perfectly crafted press release, and then I'll have these, you know, perfectly taken professional photos, and as soon as I have that, I'll send you something. And I look at it and say, okay, well, that'll be never. So how about let's
or in
just go
6 months when it's already forgotten,
yeah.
you know.
So how about let's just go to send us 3 bullet points in an email. And we've had people call us up on the office number, leave a voicemail at 8 o'clock at night and say, hey, in the morning, I'm going to send you a picture from this fundraiser we did last night, but it was Jim, Joe, and Sarah that were involved, and here's the cause, or here's what it raised.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, somebody gets an email, and it's a picture. And they say, what's this from? Somebody else says, oh, I got a voicemail this morning. We put it together, and there's an article.
That's so neat. I didn't
Because-
realize it was so much community. I don't even want to say participation, but for lack of a better word, I guess participation. I didn't realize that the community also would publish things too like that. That's a great idea.
We've got a little over 2,000 contributors to the sites, and that's everything from a 7th grade basketball team to the United Way or the Caring Place or a nonprofit organization. And we essentially look at it as all those, if you're a teacher, nonprofit, coach, pastor, all those people, you don't have to pay anything to communicate what you're doing. We'll publish that for you because that's a really good basis. Essentially, if you're in the good news business, those are your leads.
Yeah.
If you're in the hard news business, maybe your leads are, politicians and the police officer and the coroner and all those other kind of stuff. We'll communicate some stuff from them, but it's generally when an officer is being recognized or when the coroner is putting together a drug prevention program or, when a political official is, doing a ribbon cutting at a new business. We don't generally touch politics. We don't generally touch crime. But we look at it as there's so many people doing something. And if you just open up your Facebook, page every day, you see people doing tons and tons of great things. It's impossible to get to all of those.
Right.
So we'll reach out to those people. Even if they're not sending us something, we'll reach out to those people and say, hey, love what you're doing with the Boy Scouts over there. That was really cool. Would you mind if we post that picture up and a couple of bits online?
That's neat.
And they'll be like, sure, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then when they see that posted up online, they'll generally reach out and say, hey, could we do this again in the future? And we're like, we're happy for you too.
Sure.
See, that's how good
It's
news
good family
spreads.
bonding.
Yeah.
That's how
Networking.
keeps good news spreading.
And the social part of it is a big part of that spreading because someone then sees, oh, well, you're sharing some information about them. How do we get our stuff out?
Yeah.
Well, you send it to us. Oh, really?
That's
yeah,
simple.
That's it. That's it. You just send
I
it to
like
us.
that. I keep, it's funny, Rick, I keep thinking, running over in my mind, how many shows we've done that are complete, not an article, I mean, a full page thing. You think, wow, we've had so many amazing people on and been surprised once they're here while we're talking about what they do for the community and in the community and think we're always blown away. We've done so many on volunteerism and stuff. And
Yeah,
it's
you've done
right
thousands of stories.
It's so
probably.
neat.
I mean, thousands or tens of
Well, I mean,
thousands of
just
stories.
that's what's amazing. You talk to one person and find out all these things that they've done, and I think what a cool place for people to be able to share that and see that. And I think people are more inclined then to be inspired to pay it forward when they read other people's, positive stuff too. So.
Well, and I like to see it as in regards to you guys. WIMS is one of the first that actually, the media business is a pretty competitive business. And most operators in the media business think very, parochially about this is my slice. So if you're going to come into this market, you must be taking a slice away from me. So therefore you're evil. I would rather you.
I hate you. Yeah.
burn and
Those
whatever.
things, yeah,
and to me, there's a few, not a lot, but there's a few in WIMS, and Rick is one of them, that just said, oh no, you're new, you're positive, I like you. That's
Yeah.
good. And so we'll happily cross-promote, we'll happily engage, we'll happily share, we'll happily do all that kind of stuff because, again, I'm not a radio guy. I'm never going to be a radio guy. You're reaching people that we'll never touch. We're reaching people that you might not never touch, or you might touch them, but in a different way. And again, I think if you're thinking about media and how it's evolved in general, it's a lot more cooperative, and you're not going to just get your news source from one place.
Right.
Agree.
Look what happened to the media in the presidential election. Mainstream media said, we got it all figured out.
Yes.
This is exactly what's going to happen.
This is what's going
and
on.
We've done our polls, and we're going to tell you the outcome. Okay, well, they all got caught flat-footed.
Yeah.
And essentially all of them missed predicting what was
Completely.
actually going
Missed
to
the
happen.
mark big time.
Yeah.
And
It
but
was
it's
interesting.
because if you're really paying attention to political news, you're not just watching Fox or
Right.
MSNBC. You're reading 5 different political blogs and 3 different analysis things. There's just countless media sources out there. So if you stay in your silo, you're going to pretty much be in your silo and nobody else is going to help you out. I'd rather say, okay, how can we partner up with some radio guys here? How can we partner up with some print people in particular have been really resistant. I think they see us a little bit closer to them.
Yeah.
So they essentially say, when I see him, I'm just going to stare at the ground.
That's unfortunate. It
and-
really is.
But it's we have a handful where they don't see it that way. We've got WVLP as a local radio station in Valpo. Awesome group. small signal area, but really entrenched in the community, I look at it as what a great asset that is for Valpo to have that resource.
Right.
So why the heck wouldn't we promote them? We're not in that business. And so they like us a ton. We like them a ton, and it makes sense.
Yeah, that's nice. And again, that's even a better way to reach more people with positive, I don't even want to say feel good. It's not, again, it's not fluff. It's important that we reinstill that fact and that desire to feel the good news is important, and to want to spread the good news and not just the negative energy.
We've had people in the past say, okay, well, what you're covering is fluff. And I said, well, it actually happened. Like, all of these things actually transpired. We're not making them up.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of people that got together at the United Way thing last week and raised a whole bunch of money.
Right.
And that's going to actually serve a really good cause. That's not actually fluff. That really happened.
It's real news.
It's a real deal.
Yeah, it's a real deal.
Yeah.
We're not just making this up. This isn't like, Disney World. That actually transpired.
It isn't a story.
Yeah.
Right.
And what the United Way and a lot of those organizations are serving are helping are real causes. There are real people that have substance abuse issues, real people that are homeless, real people that are dealing with lack of food.
Meals on Wheels is a perfect example.
Yeah.
The people think automatically that's old, someone that's old or just can't get out for whatever reason. And they don't realize that's funded by United Way. I mean, there are so many things I was blown away at that are funded by the United Way that is vital to our community. What would happen to those people if they weren't in existence?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just always shocked when we talk about these things. I mean, even...
You could touch on negative stories,
Well,
but with a positive orientation.
I think a perfect example, when we had Sheriff Boyd on, who is amazing. We love him. He's one of our best friends here. But when we discussed the real heroin issue in the community and stuff, we found out, I didn't even know this, and I am a hospital person, that LaPorte Hospital supplies all their Narcan for the police responders. We had no idea. They don't do that to be recognized. They just do that. And if an officer needs to use their Narcan on a call, they go to the hospital pharmacy and are able to get a replacement. Boom. I mean, it's not a process. That's amazing. Do you know how many lives, regardless whether you agree with it or not, or you agree with, whatever's going on with the drug issue, but we know that saves lives every single day. That's huge. Yeah. And instead of just talking about the negative, stats are scary, and it's definitely not a good situation, but there are positive things from that all the time. And that was one. I was blown away by that. And two, I said, how do we not know that? Especially Younger Life is a LaPorte Hospital show. They do so many amazing things, and sometimes we don't even know about them to highlight them. And that was one of them that I was totally shocked by.
Well, and that's the value of a local media source that pays attention to those things, because LaPorte Hospital might not be saying, hey, we really want to brag about this.
Of course.
But somebody ought to really help people aware, hey, this is a great thing that the community's doing, because like you said, or the hospital's doing, because like you said, no matter what led the person to that situation, without that, they die.
Right.
And with that, they actually live, and they could potentially go on and recover. Right. And so it takes somebody like you guys to say, no, that actually needs to get brought to the light of day. It's
definitely noteworthy. I thought we were so happy and proud.
I guarantee you, to that person and their family and their kids and their grandparents and their mom and dad, that's pretty darn noteworthy.
Right.
That man or woman lived. I would say that's noteworthy.
Affects lots of people. So we were proud of that fact when we found that out, and didn't even know that. So that was nice and encouraging.
Do you realize that this hour has come to a close?
See how fast it goes?
See how crazy, Chris? We're sitting here and we said to Chris, we'll just go with the flow. Yeah. Because we all could talk. We all love chatting. We all love communicating. And I said, this was great. Wonderful, wonderful show again today here on Younger Life Live. Brought to you today by, of course, the LaPorte Hospital. We thank you for your great sponsorship. And, of course, we're getting ready for a great weekend. What are you doing this weekend? We got 1 minute. Anything fun?
I won't shock you when I tell you sports.
Okay. 5 kids.
All your kids?
All the kids are in something. So we have 3 of them are involved in basketball.
What's the ages there, kiddo?
16 down to the youngest is 5. 16, 13, 11, 6, and 5.
Wow.
Chris,
Fun.
Mine are all older, so they're all real active. But I've only got one still in the sports world. She's a swimmer at Valpo.
Oh, wow. It's swimming season right now, right?
Yeah, swimming season just started last night with a meet out at Highland. And
how do we do?
They're doing very good.
Awesome.
Doing very good. My daughter's a long distance swimmer, so she swims the 500. And I think, okay, so she's swimming for like 5-6 minutes, just
that's incredible.
Non-stop, and I could swim about 2 laps.
Me too.
So
even at that.
Swim, but that's me.
Honestly, yeah, that's fantastic.
So for me this weekend, it's just a couple of events. We got a number of partner sort of community-oriented events. Crossroads Chamber that we're a partner with out in Crown Point, Maryville has got their big gala this weekend. But we've got little holiday-oriented events in some communities. We've got a lot of sports things coming up because basketball season is now kicking in. So weekends are our busiest time. They're a lot of fun, but always a lot going on.
Keeps us all young. And speaking of that, thanks for joining us here. Chris Ballman, Rick Fowd, Ricky, Mary Anthony. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much.
CBS News. I'm Steve Kathan. The Trump transition team has